Hi there, I'm Dan McKinnon, back here to talk with you once again. During these changing times, do you ever wonder, where has spirit gone to? It seems that with our society sometimes and the everyday world, the everyday world seems to be about exteriors versus interiors, objects versus subjects, doing and doing versus just being, sort of thinging, everything becomes a thing, versus thouing, treating things as being sacred. Everybody seems to be in their head and hardly ever coming from their heart. What's that result in? It results in a restlessness for the human heart and a yearning for something more, a taste of an infinite horizon, something to transcend, something to transform, something to make the world more and make ourselves feel a greater connection. So what is spirituality? One definition is that spirituality is those parts of a person's character and behavior that seek to transcend their egocentric tendencies, transform their sense of self, build compassionate and collaborative relationships and cultural communities, recognize the interdependent origination of all phenomena, and identify with a universal force, whatever you think that is, be it a God or an energy, a universal force that supervenes, that supersedes and sustains us all. But let's bring spirit down to the ground here. Let's talk about spirituality in everyday life. So how does spirituality actually happen? Well, one of the key factors, one of the key things that holds people back from spirituality appearing in their lives is ego. And what has to happen for us is to have some type of technique or practice that can help us to loosen the ego's boundaries, loosen that grasping that the ego has on wanting to control and be in charge of the world. So that means a person has to take time, a person has to make time, a person has to have a practice of some kind that makes a clearing, an opening, that becomes a beacon and an invitation for spirit to just show up in their lives. One way that people use is walking in nature or contemplation or just laying in bed before they go to sleep, taking some quiet moments there. Another one is meditation, the 5,000-year age-old tradition, a real science of self and soul that works. One thing I do to help remind myself of what it's about is I use a common term like an internet address. I call it www.witness.now. And what that refers to, the first three W's, is to wait in your space, to watch from that space, and to do that with wonder, to do it as a witness in the now, in the moment, just waiting, watching with wonder, whether you're meditating or walking or even just being with another person mindfully, and suddenly spirit will appear. So where does spirituality happen? Well, it happens in you. It happens inside, in that inner verse. It happens in nature. It happens in a child's eyes when you have a chance to look deeply into them, or a lover's eyes. All of a sudden, spirit will appear, and your ego will wash away, and you will all of a sudden be filled with something greater and something more. Often, spirit appears when you've got your practice and working at it in that silence. And when you're in that silence, you create a spaciousness. It's as if time expands and yourself expands. And in that silence and in that spaciousness, spirit speaks through the stillness. Spirit's happening all around us, all the time. In a sense, we are like neurons of God. We're firing inside this whole bigger universal force, and we're all contributing to whatever that is, and whatever that becomes. It's like conscious evolution. Life, or God as some people call it, life needs us as much as we need life. Life lives us as much as we live life. In a sense, everything you see around you, everything in nature that's behind me here, everything, every encounter you have is a chance for the engagement of life and you to live together. In a sense, we swim in a sea of spirit. That reminds me of a age-old story from Buddhist principles. And it's a story of the two small waves in the ocean. It goes something like this. There's a big crashing of ocean water moving towards the shore. And as it's moving towards the shore, it's gathering force and gathering force and gathering force. And right on the top edge of that crashing water are two waves. One wave's a boy wave, and one wave's a girl wave. And the water is rushing more and more to the shore, and it's going to crash and hit the sand. And all of a sudden, the boy wave starts to get all nervous and jittery and fearful and begins to hang on and cling and say, no, we're going to crash, we're going to crash. And he gets scared, and then the girl wave stops him. And she just lets him be still. And she says, but you don't understand. You're not a wave. You're the ocean. And that's what spirit is. We are spirit. We are in spirit. We live spirit. So the main thing with spirit and with this message is that the ego and the demands of this objective life, this doing life, are making us hang on tight, hang on tight. Doesn't your life just seem like that? You're hanging on, just trying to make things go. And the entry of spirit is taking that tension with this fist and then releasing. And as soon as you come to that releasement, soul and spirit enter. And that's the time then you can just look for the grace. When you feel spirit in your life with the openness, you can give gratitude. And when you give gratitude and envisage and empower spirit, then your spirit will become you. So let's do that this season. Let spirit become you. Thank you, and we'll talk again next time.